Good evening. I'm Sydney Stowe, the director of Hopkins Center Film, and I am thrilled tonight. I will attempt to not go all fangirl on you all, but no promises. We are delighted to welcome back an alumna, Aisha Tyler, class of '92.
Oh, yay. Hi. Hi, everybody. Hello. I've clearly, upon sitting down in this chair and looking deep into my camera, realized that I'm underdressed, but I am not the director of any film program. I am just a weirdo artist. So I just have on a t-shirt. Also, it's very hot here in California, but Sydney, you look fantastic.
Thank you. Well, the jacket is going in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, but you started strong.
God.
You look great.
Well, okay. So before I have another sip, I'm going to start out, just let everybody know, we got a couple questions back and forth. Then we're going to bring in some students. We have Naomi and Zia and Jordan to join us. They'll take questions from the chat, and they have their own questions as well. But I think the important thing is, and you already know this, and you don't know this about me, but I've already asked you, what are you drinking? And I don't know if you have a cocktail.
I think we're drinking the same thing.
Ah, excellent.
Yes. Is that a Manhattan or
It is. I decided to go. So this is my shameless plug. Manhattan is the first drink I learned to drink whiskey with. And it came from a bar here at the Hanover Inn, Club Pine. But Aisha has a company called Courage+Stone. Here they are.
Yes.
And they are pre-mixed craft cocktails that come already in a bottle. Like, I don't understand why this is not done all over the world. Are you really the first one to ever do this? Because I think you only have to add ice.
You don't have to do anything. It's interesting. It is considered a new category, and there have been several entrants in the past couple of years. And when I started developing the product, it was really like to answer a market need, because I was like, it would be great to be able to. I was making these things in batches at home and kind of keeping them in the fridge, so people came over, I could have them for them, or when I came home from work, I could just have like one great drink without making a big mess in my kitchen. Right. And then thinking it would be great to buy these, and realizing there was nothing really of a top shelf quality that you could buy that was pre-made. But when I started researching it, you used to be able to do this a very long time ago. And then it kind of fell out of fashion because kind of like more fruit driven, fluffier, kind of, more clubby, poppy drinks got really popular. And now it's going through this kind of second, this renaissance.
Like a renaissance, exactly.
Yeah, it's going through a renaissance. And
as long as it kills the wine spritzer, I'm fine with that.
Yes.
Never see that again.
It is the enemy of the wine, of the cooler, of the cooler generation. But it also, it really just came out, they tell you kind of, create something, work around something that you already really love. And I bartended. This restaurant's not open anymore in Hanover, but I bartended at Peter Christian's, which I don't know what's there now, downstairs there, kind of across from Molly's.
Burrito place.
Okay, yes, that used to be a restaurant, and I waited there and I bartended there, and then bartended sporadically through my 20s, and I've always loved bars and bartenders, and so this was really a way for people to bring that kind of specialized experience into their home, because anybody can kind of throw some soda and some booze together, but to have a drink that's of the same quality that you have in a bar is hard for most people to do, and most people don't care to do it. It's kind of a pain. So
and it's expensive. I mean, if you're going to have to buy all the quality, or you buy
a real bar, right? Like it's many bars to get a proper bar together. Yeah. So these are just ready to go.
Where a fair amount of my disposable income goes, but
we are grown-up ladies, and we can do what we like. And I will say, since we're talking about Courage+Stone, I'm one of very few women working in the spirits category generally, and I'm really proud of that. Very few women of color in the space, and hopefully trying to create a fertile ground for other people to kind of come into a space that has traditionally been, very white, very male. And we're also, because, it's a unique time, in a singular time, I think, in modern history, 30% of everything we're making is going to support American bartenders who have been out of work for a long time and are able to pivot to kind of the takeaway and the delivery system that restaurants have been able to do. So it's nice to give back to that community, because I owe a lot
and that leads me into your Liquid Courage happy hours.
Yeah.
So can we talk about that? Because it's twice a week, but I'd rather have you describe it. Because I just was like, oh, she has a drink and she has cool people and they do something cool. But I think you probably can do a better job of selling it than me.
Thank you.
Clearly focused on the drink part.
I like that. I like how you described it. It's very simple. I was thinking a lot about how people are stuck at home, and how for some people being in isolation is a joy or a relief, or not that burdensome because they have a great support system. But for other people who have been sheltering in place, it can be very isolating, especially for people who may already have mental health issues or issues with, social connections. And so I just wanted to create a space for people to get together. And it just started with me doing an Instagram hour where I just make a different drink every Tuesday and Friday at 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 8 o'clock on the East Coast, talk about the history of the drink, and then I highlight a different COVID-focused charity. So every half hour, it's a different drink and a different charity. Right. The one tomorrow, we're going to make Negroni Spagliatos, which is an Italian variation on the Negroni, with Emily Bett-Ricards, who people may know from Arrow. And we're highlighting the International Rescue Committee, who I've worked with in the past. They're an extraordinary organization and do great work around the world, focused on displaced communities and specifically women and children. But right now, when you think about shelter in place and wash your hands and, things like that, if you're a displaced person with no home and no running water, these indications are impossible for you to follow. So International Rescue Committee works with displaced communities across the globe, and they've also worked across our border, along the border with displaced people there, which is obviously an ongoing crisis that has not abated just because of what's going on with COVID. Right. And they also work inside our own country to deal with, to help support displaced people. So they're a great organization, and it's great because you just get to get tipsy for a good cause. And then I asked, what's that? And then you start donating. Exactly. And I'm your global bartender. So I always make a donation at the end. I encourage people to donate if they can. And I answer people's questions. And I try to make it as conversational as I can. People, tweet or YouTube chat me questions, and then I answer them. So hopefully it has that feeling of pulling up to your neighborhood bar, and we try to make it special. Well, and we watched the Archer table read. I can't even. That was when you made the espresso martini. And yes. I mean, at the end, well, we'll get to Archer later, but that was what was so fascinating was you do it in a way that doesn't make people feel that they have to donate. But at the end, it feels really organic. And I give you a lot of props for that, because that's hard. It's hard to share things with people and talk about your causes and not have people feel like you're selling them. And you're getting them to buy and you're getting them to donate to these causes. And I think you really navigate that balance between entertainment and information and awareness. And anyway, it was Feeding America or Feeding for America that you did with the table. Feeding America. Yeah, first of all, thank you. I mean, I think it's really important to me, because I work in the field that I'm in, and it can feel very rarefied and remote, not to make people feel any kind of pressure, like I'm preaching to them or I'm being didactic. It's just, I grew up with very little, and I'm very aware of, the good fortune that I've been able to experience, through very hard work. But there's also some alchemical magic that happens that, gets one to arrive at this place. And I feel a great obligation to give back, but I don't want anybody else to feel that obligation at all. Right. I want to make it easy for people to give. I mean, that's the point of these happy hours, because we all feel, on varying levels, we all feel a little helpless right now. You know what I mean? We feel stuck at home. We don't know what to do. It seems like an insurmountable issue. And so to say, here, I've done the work for you. Yeah. Here's a little tiny bite that you can do. You can give $5 to this organization. Right. And if everybody gave $5, it would make an extraordinary difference. And it doesn't have to be a big burden. It doesn't have to be something that feels, I don't know, that feels overwhelming or, penurious to you. Right. So I've done the work. Come, get drunk with me, go online, give $5. Well, and it makes a difference, and it will. We push all that money together, and it makes a big difference. And it also just amplifies the mission of these organizations at a time when there's a lot of competition for attention, for sure. Right. But and a lot of hopelessness. We spend a lot of time figuring out what to push out as an arts center, and you do worry about people's bandwidth, and you do worry that people feel they have to have read the book before they watch the movie before they watch the talk. And what I appreciate about what you're doing is there's no, I didn't need to read up on your rocket scientist. I could just tune in while you had the rocket scientist. Yeah. And that's the barriers to entry when we spend all day on our screens. That's really smart. That it's just really authentic. And I want to thank you, because now that I've been following them and I'm now subscribing, I'm like, oh, thank God. And I didn't know how the bee's knees was made. So I was myself with my French 75, but it's so fun how many cocktails have this baseline relationship. I have a friend who's a bartender in New York. He owns a bar called Attaboy. That's pretty famous. Yes. And he, Sam Ross and Michael McElroy, and they created an app that shows you that there's really only and I don't even have it memorized, there's only 7 families of cocktails, and everything is a variation on this one basic combination. It's like spirit bitters sweetener, or spirit lemon juice sweetener, or spirit lime juice sweetener. And then there's like hundreds of drinks in those families. And so if you know just a few things about how to make a cocktail, you're actually much more proficient than you think.
Right.
And once you learn these basic rules, it's like the sugar, salt, fat, heat rules of cooking.
Right.
You can walk into a place and you can make something like pretty easily. You can be like, okay, you got limes and you got this spirit and you got some maple syrup. I gotcha.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That can make you a daiquiri.
I don't need any more help.
Yeah, exactly. I can make you a daiquiri or a pisco sour or whatever it is, so it's pretty.
Pisco's next. That's this week. Just waiting for it to warm up.
I want to make a pisco sour, but I don't have any cachaça. So I'm like, I've got to find a bottle. It's like one thing I don't have in my bar is cachaça, but I hope I'm saying that word right. But
yeah, one of my best friends.
The Peruvians can text me.
So we're good. I've got a liquor connection. So
good.
Thank God.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about when I was watching the Archer table read, which for all of you who don't know Archer, it is a gift. It's just a freaking gift. And I literally cannot imagine my life before it. But we were watching the table read and I could not believe how funny it was, even though I wasn't looking at the animation, and the fact that you all are so in tune and so in love, and it's so wrong and unapologetic. And so my question was, do you think, I'm really curious about Adam Reed and the writing, because is it just smart comedy? I mean, is it just a comedy, or is there like this subversive secret agent message for social change? Because they cover everything. They cover sexism and homophobia and racism. And I love that they just deal with it. And I'm just curious, if you had any thoughts on that, about whether you're changing hearts and minds and people don't even know it because you're doing it through animation and comedy.
Right. Well, that's a really good question, and I think incredibly perceptive, because Adam Reed, the guy that created the show and has written most of the episodes, is incredibly smart and incredibly literate. And for people who watch the show many times, what they find is that there are just uncountable numbers of references to great books and great writers and great thinkers and philosophers and historical events. And you can watch the show over and over again and get something different every time you do.
Without question.
Which I'm really proud of. But years and years ago, Adam and I coined this word together for the show, that it was this kind of delicate combination of smart and filthy. We were calling the show Smelthy because it's very subversive, because you can watch it and at first blush it's just kind of like a raucous adult comedy, a spy show. But it skewers class, it skewers the government, it skewers racism and sexism and homophobia and classism and every kind of aspect, and kind of Western jingoism and
all the isms.
The isms. We cover all the isms. And I think that's why it's done as well as it has for as long as it has. Right. Is because it doesn't underestimate the intelligence of the viewer. No. Adam said that a part of the how the idea came to him, he was he was in Europe. He was like, there's a pilgrimage, like a Catholic pilgrimage from
through Spain.
Yeah, through Spain, right? And he was on that walk, and I don't know that these are related, but I guess he was in a place, it looked like it had been in a Bond movie, and so he started thinking about James Bond, and honestly, what a jerk the guy was. Oh yeah, like he was just an alcoholic, jackass, and he thought it would be really great to write the character truer to the essence of that guy, who's just this guy who's like, terrible to his coworkers, awful in relationships, right? Yeah, but kind of keeps failing upwards. We all know somebody like that, and I think that was the genesis for the show, because it also skewers our love of that kind of like old school toxic masculinity in this culture, right? Like this guy with the finger guns, who shoots somebody and then says a snarky quip before he skis away.
And he's got the turtleneck.
Yeah, he's got the tactile neck. Yeah. And it's really evolved into such a sophisticated show that always stays fun. Yeah. And I think that's the thing I love about it, is that it's smart and it's evolved and it has incredible pop culture density, and it stays rich in kind of thoughtfulness and then rich in just fun. Like it's just a fun show to watch. Right. And the irreverence is never the irreverence is always based on something thoughtful, which is always good. So I love the show. We're making season 11 right now, and it's extraordinary. Right. It's about this long. Yeah. Well,
we have to say that when someone said, "Who's Aisha Tyler?" I don't know her. I just go, Lana Kane. And that, I can't even tell you, among my people, they're like, oh my God, you have Lana Kane. And I know you get this all the time that people like conflate the two of you, but she's such a badass. And so nice. I actually, Johanna and I were going through the clips because, believe it or not, it's a little hard to find a clip that you can play.
That you can play, yeah. Oh yeah, that's not, in New Hampshire. We invented NSFW, guys.
So anyway, but we're gonna run this clip. Johanna, this is her favorite about, because we have so many moments of Lana. You'd be so mortified. We've got like probably 45 photos in our book on her. But anyway, we're gonna run this clip about Lana, which we think really sums up Lana.
Awesome.
What's your idea of a perfect day?
Oh, well, that's easy. I'd volunteer. Ooh, I'm sorry. One sec, please. Hello?
Lana, you have to come down to Ron's dealership. He's got a chimpanzee in a little samurai suit slashing prices.
Archer, I can't talk right now. I'm doing the interview thing.
God, you are made of stone. You're like that rock biter from Never-Ending Story. They're such big, strong hands. Remember the rock biter?
She was not amused.
I got to tell you, Joe and I have probably watched that clip a dozen times, and it just kills us every time. The look on her face. She's such the straight man. And what I love about her is she feels like the only sane one. So if you're looking for someone to anchor in the show when you're watching it, I feel like we all pour into Lana. Plus, for a female watching, she's the only competent one. And she's like, the minute she goes on a mission, you're like, oh, fine, they're not going to.
Yeah,
they got Lana, because the rest of these idiots are never going to get it done. So I just want to thank you. I know that there's been hundreds of questions about, you know, what you did and what parts of you are her, but from one enormous fan, I just want to thank you, because it is such a treat, and we're so grateful. And
thank you.
So I think I'm gonna.
I love playing her, so it's very lovely. Thank you.
Oh my God, we love her. So I'm going to bring in our first student, because otherwise I will talk to you all night. And this is Jordan Fitch, who's got a question for you. So I think you're coming in there, Jordan.
Jordan. Hi there.
Oh.
Hi.
Yeah. So my question was actually a little bit more about your time at Dartmouth, specifically your time at Tabard. So I know that you were at Tabard. I am currently a member of the house. Naomi's actually my big too. So like awesome. Every morning I'm like brushing my teeth and like looking at your composite, being like,
I apologize.
No, I just.
Oh my God, what face am I making in that photo? It's so upsetting.
It's incredible.
Oh my God.
Oh, you look so cute.
I look like a nut, but thank you for your story.
So yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, like, what was your experience like in the house? Like, what drew you to the house? And like, if you're willing to share what your house name was.
Oh my God. I don't know what my house name was.
Oh, you
know what? While we're on, I'm going to text someone who would know and ask them to tell me, because I can't remember what it is.
Would that be the man that showed up earlier today?
Yeah, it is. And his wife. One of them knows, but it's not me. I don't remember. I mean, I could guess, but I have no idea. I'm literally writing right now. Hey, can you guys ask each other what my house name one was? Because it's given to you. Mm-hmm. But so what was my experience at the Tabard. First of all, I'll just quickly start with why I joined. I grew up in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and a very progressive family. I lived in an ashram for a while when I was a kid. My parents were into meditation. I had a really West Coast experience. And when I got into Dartmouth, I decided to go because I really wanted to have something. I wasn't rejecting it, but I really wanted to have something that was, the antipode of that, like figuratively and literally. I wanted to feel something very opposite to what I had experienced as a kid. And I was really disoriented in my first year at Dartmouth. Like, I really had a hard time. Like, the weather was weird and the people were weird, and it seemed like they'd all gone to the same prep school except for me. And I felt really out of place. And I considered for a while leaving and going back to the West Coast. All my friends had gone to Berkeley and UC Santa Cruz, and I would have gone right back to the culture and the experiences that I understood. And I made a very good friend my winter term. Who I really liked, and we were all kind of marveling at how how weird everything was. Like, we like built a big bonfire and then danced around in a circle, and it seemed strange and tribal and nonsensical. And I'm just like, what is this place? And I knew I didn't want to join a traditional Greek organization, but somehow we ended up at the Tabard, and it just felt very welcoming. It felt very affirming, and like whoever you were was okay. You didn't have to fit into a certain box. I knew I didn't want to join a traditional sorority organization. I mean, I think I'd worn a skirt twice in my life at that point. I was not really about to put on a sweater set in pearls. And it just felt like really affirming. Like it just, whoever you were was who you could be. And that was my experience. I loved it. I remember when we sang, like, how fun. And I mean, I always describe, when I say I was in a fraternity, people, I'm sorry, did you mean sorority? I'm like, no, it was a co-ed fraternity. I mean, we probably need to come up with a better word than co-ed fraternity, because that's still kind of like gives the male primacy. But like, it was a fraternity that became co-ed. But I remember, like, they when we sang, they'd be like, drink this shot, but only if you want to. I don't want you to feel any pressure whatsoever. Like, you could have anything you want. You feel safe? If you don't feel safe, you better drink it. Or would you like a hug? I'll give you a hug. It was so kind. It was the most fun, and it just stayed that fun for the whole time I was there. It was just like a place where you could be free and never feel kind of observed. So I loved it. I wish it was a little cleaner. It was a disgusting place, but full of love.
Right. I will say the custodians have consistently voted us the cleanest house on campus. We are not like the other girls.
Oh, thank God.
Wow.
This is like predominantly like queer POC right now. And we're just like,
I love it. That's great. It was like that when I was there, by the way. I mean, I don't want to put him on blast, but like Josh spent like most of my time there, like on roller skates wearing a skirt. He was like the mascot of our house. It was the best. He's going to hate that I put this out on the street, but it was amazing. He was like our hero. He used to just roller skate around the house on the wood floors in the skirt, and he was the best. And
wow, that is a data point.
I don't think it was a great place. I don't think we had custodians back then. I think we had to clean it ourselves. And it was like a rotating.
Yeah, we still have, we definitely still have tours, but we have like safety visits for like the other,
we needed more safety visits. You clean the bathroom, and then like 45 minutes later, it was like someone had been murdered in there. That was like it was just always so, boys are gross.
Boys are the worst.
Boys are the worst. I mean, I like boys, but like they're
oh yeah.
If you could just spend 70% of your time peeing into the toilet, that would be rad, guys. Okay, let's just work on it as a team.
Target.
Yeah, like, it's just like hone in on it. You know what I mean? Like, we need to put a Cheerio in there, and it's hit the Cheerio. It's like for potty training, like a
target. I mean, come on.
Huge.
It's
You're
like
doing it your whole life.
12 by 15, you guys. I mean, anyway.
I would just be down there on my hands and knees being like, this is building character. I'm going to be so mentally tough. When I go into the job market, I will be able to do anything.
I could do stand up.
Yeah, I could do anything. No one can hurt me now. Because if I haven't died in here, I'm not going to die.
The second floor bathroom hasn't killed you yet.
Seriously.
You know what? This is all training for the pandemic. You guys are going to be just fine.
The third floor bathroom was the bad one when I was there. Yeah. So. But it was great. I loved it. I really did. And I'm sure I'm going to get a very angry text from Josh. Oh, yeah, it's great. It is. Oops. I love you, Josh. I was just pointing out how cool Josh was. He was the coolest guy in our house. And back then, like, you know, we were pretty radical. I mean, I'm sure you guys still feel pretty radical, but like we were like crazies. Like, back then. It was a pretty conservative place. So. Yeah.
Thanks, Jordan.
He's never speaking to me again, by the way.
Oh, no.
All right, I'm going to send you away, Jordan. I'm bringing in.
Nice to meet you, Jordan.
Next girl. I got another student here. Zia, come on in here. You're next.
Hi.
Hi, Zia.
So I am one of the student directors of the Dartmouth Film Society, and this week, in preparation for your virtual visit, we all saw Access, the movie that you directed in 2017. For those who haven't seen it, I think we have a trailer.
Hello.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was incredible. And what's even more incredible is that you made it in 7 days, which is frankly crazy. What was the best part of doing it that way, and what was the most challenging part?
So the reason that we did it that quickly was because a factor of how much money we had to make it. There were two factors. I was on 4 television shows at the time, so I only had a week off. And I knew if I didn't make it the movie in that week, I wasn't going to get a chance to make it until the following year. And then originally I had 10 days, and we boarded it for 9 of those days. But we realized if we made it in 7 days, we would have more resources for each day. Like we could rent an extra camera and have additional crew members, and we could spend more money on a process trailer. So it was a function of need and condition. But I really feel as a filmmaker that restrictions and restraints typically make you better at making a movie. So very quickly, a lot of options are swept off the table, and then you have to maximize what's left for you. We shot that movie. The script was about 95 pages, 97 pages. We shot the whole first act, 15 pages in the first day.
Wow.
And then we shot the rest of the movie, minus the last scene, over the next 5.5 days. So we shot the whole movie essentially all the way through each day. So we would have 3 camera positions, shoot the movie in sequence, because it takes place in a car driving through Los Angeles in real time. So each day we had to be in the same spot at the same time of day, at the same part of the script, in the same part of town, so that when we cut it all together, it would all match: light, dialogue, position. And that was really constraining, but it meant that we were only really shooting from 3 to maybe like 7 or 8 o'clock, each day. So our days, we're still only working 12 max. Sometimes we had 10-hour days. It was very fast. It kept me from dithering. There was no paralysis by analysis because there was no time to analyze. Everything went wrong on that show. We got stuck behind a jackknife big rig. We had our process trailer get stuck in a parking lot. We had the battery die on the. Yeah, we had the battery die in the car, and the window got stuck down, and that was the angle that the actor was in, so we couldn't keep going because it wasn't going to match. We had to de-rig the entire setup, pull, jack the car, jump the car, and then re-rig everything. We had a day where we started too late that we lost all our light, and that day had to get thrown out completely in post. But despite all of those things, because we shot essentially the bulk of the movie each day, we had a full film in the can by day 3. Wow. And so it didn't matter that we threw a whole day out, because we still had, I planned 17 angles and I lost 3. I still had 14 angles.
Wow.
So it was really aggressive, but it was also really robust. And if you have to work that quickly, what you want to do is come up with a plan that allows for maximum unforced errors, right? Give yourself the best probability of winning. Also, the smaller your crew is, honestly, the better. It makes you more nimble. So you want to find people that are willing to work and aren't going to complain a lot about food or where we are, or why isn't it a longer lunch break? If you find those people, just axe them immediately. There's just no crying in baseball. I just have no time for complainers ever. It's an independent film, and if you thought that someone was going to rub your feet, you should go over there and work on Iron Man. But this is not Iron Man, and I don't care about your problems. And I mean, I was there first. I was out last. You know what I mean? I was working as hard as everybody else, but you just have these grips that are oh, it's get out, get out, get out. I'll do your job. Get out. Right. And that's, I think, a timer to somebody that says, tells you to work faster. A director is someone that says, if you won't do it, I'll do it myself. Because in the end, the buck is always going to stop with the director. It doesn't matter whether things go good or bad. It is always a responsibility. And you have to solve every problem on your show. So you have to be ready to do anything and everything on a set. And you should understand how every craft works. And you should show your crew the utmost respect, because they are better at it than you. But what you shouldn't tolerate is someone who's going to drag the team down, especially when you have no money. I just was guys, we raised this money crowdfunding, and then anything that's gapping, I'm making it up. And if this movie feels like it's my money that's going away, and so I'm going to be bleeding out here, and I hope that you guys are going to bleed with me. But it honestly, anything that I wished I had done differently in the movie was a function of how little time we had, right? But also all of the serendipitous things, all the surprises happened because of the time that we had. It was a sensational experience. It made me very nimble and resilient as a director, because I'll never probably have to work that hard that quickly again. And so when I'm on a regular set now and people are we can't get it done, I'm we absolutely can get it done. And it's become one of my particular calling cards, that I work very effectively and very quickly, but I also deliver high quality product. And that's a function of the way that I made that movie. I'm able to solve problems, and I'm very proud of that. That's really what I got from that experience. So it's not for everybody. I think if you're someone who really needs to ruminate a lot about things, then it's probably not the way that you should work. And I'm sure there's another director who wants to just have one camera going while they mellifluously flow through the emotions of a scene. I'm like, God bless you. God bless you. But I will say also working that quickly it's easier on your crew. So they go home earlier. It's easier on your actors. Like if someone has to cry and they've got to cry 20 times because you keep changing camera angles and punching in, then you're not treating them with respect either. But if you say, look, we've got 4 cameras going and you're going to have to do this 3 times, they're really going to give it their all, and you're really going to get the best work out of them as well. So a lot of what we did just cemented my approach to filmmaking, and I'm really happy that we did it that way.
Well, and just to follow up, there's a question in the chat from Clementine Lee about you've directed and you've been and you're an actress. Do you find that how challenging is being a director compared to an actress? It sounds like profoundly more challenging in a way.
Profoundly more challenging, but profoundly more enjoyable.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Right. Because an actress, you just show up and you have your work.
You show up and it's your gig, and you got to kind of lie down while people are doing stuff. But and sometimes it's nice to come to work and not have to worry about stuff. But I don't now that I'm a director, I think about everything all the time, and I'm kind of like I keep going like, well, I'm like, oh, I'm not directing this. I better shut up now.
They're probably like, oh,
I know. I mean,
there's a taste of directing and it's all over.
It's true. I'm sure they feel that way. And I respect other artists. I'm not going to try to step on their toes, but the way I describe it is when you're an actor, you just have to care for yourself and potentially the actor that you're working across from. But when you're a director, you get to care for everybody. And I much prefer getting to care for everybody else and getting to make sure that I'm giving talented people the best opportunity to do their best work and to shine. And I work very hard to make a set that's fun to come to, where people are respected and get to do their very best work. And that means that it's not a dictatorship. I want to hear everybody's ideas. I want them to feel empowered. I want to ask them for something, and then I want them to bring me something better than what I asked for. I mean, that's, a filmmaking is a collaborative endeavor, and I love that about it. So I much prefer directing.
Yeah. Great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Zia, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you soon. I know, this is like the power of God. I'm like, okay, and now we have Naomi.
I welcome you in.
Exactly. Well, we actually have Todd, my beloved, in charge of this. He makes us look good. Hey, Naomi, how are you, honey?
Hi, I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Before I ask my question, just wanted to say that I absolutely love, as Jordan's big, hearing from alums of all ages that the reason they joined Tabard is the same reason that I joined Tabard, because it's a place of love and acceptance. So that's really awesome.
I'm glad it still feels that way, because I really loved it. I really loved being a member.
It is definitely the one place I was able to find on campus and call a home. So
that's awesome.
I love that. And I love that you had that experience. My question definitely has nothing related to Tabard, though. I'm sort of interested in how I saw that you had gotten a major in government and a minor in environmental policy, which is a very stark difference from the jobs that you now have today.
That's true. That's true.
But I am an environmental studies minor, actually, and so I'm just sort of wondering how you made that transition into the industry from getting those degrees, and I guess in general, what sort of things or tools you got from just getting a liberal arts degree and those degrees that are applicable today in your job.
Absolutely. So I thought I was going to go to law school. I mean, that was really my intention, was to be an environmental lawyer. And I was doing improv and stuff on the side. I was in the Rockapellas, and I don't know if they do this now, but we used to do lots of sketches and stuff between songs. And I had done they don't do that anymore. Okay.
No,
we used to be a variety show. So we would do a song and a sketch. Yeah. And
I think they just sing now.
Yeah,
Naomi,
Okay, well.
they just sing. They do like shows with some of the improv groups,
Mhm.
but they don't do sketches themselves. But
Yeah.
I know a few
Really good.
rockapellas. They're incredible.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
a few rocks, and I bet they'd love to do sketches.
Yeah, we used to
Yeah.
do like little interstitial bits and stuff. We had a character called Frat Man. And like every time you would be like on a date with him or whatever, he would be like, I got to go because I have tap duty. He'd like be in the middle of a conversation. And he would run away to go do tap duty. So they weren't even really they weren't sketches so much as just a commentary on the male culture at Dartmouth. But and then I did like improv and stuff in high school, but it was always a hobby. So when I got to Dartmouth, my real intention was first I thought I was going to be an environmental engineer, and then I started taking engineering classes, and I was like, no to that. And then did the combo thinking I would go to law school. And I went back to San Francisco. I was working at a group that did really incredible work, environmental work called the Trust for Public Land. They acquire unused urban spaces for parks and recreational and green space for underserved communities. It was a great nexus of like social justice and environmentalism, and I loved it. And I was just so unhappy. Like I didn't know why. Because like I had my dream job in San Francisco, and I was just like, and I realized so I wasn't performing anymore. So it was really like a very organic. It wasn't like I always wanted to be a performer. You know what I mean? It was just like I realized I always had been one, and I didn't realize that was who I really was. So to your question, two things. I think the first thing is that education just made me more self-aware, more self-driven. Very confident in my ability to kind of like make plans and set goals and then follow through on them. Like I remember very vividly like getting to Dartmouth and quickly realizing like if I didn't do my homework, like no one was gonna like call me or warn me or like say, hey, I was just gonna fail. Whereas in high school, your teacher's like, where's your homework? You know, in college, it's like it's all on you. So by the time I got out, I was like, oh, like my success is my own. I have to be my own engine. And I think that served me very well throughout my career. Also, the further along you get in career, the more kind of business meetings you have. And, you know, if you can conduct yourself in a business meeting, I think that's really critical. If you can have, you know, salient conversations with people and drive, you know, maybe communicate your needs and energize other people on your behalf. That's all stuff that I kind of developed like at Dartmouth and then in my first kind of corporate jobs that I had before I started being a full-time stand-up. And then I think just generally as an artist, I mean, I think I'm kind of like a liberal arts artist. Like, I think that when I first started doing stand-up, I thought that was all I would ever do. And then what happened was I developed this kind of like widening circle of other skills that were related to that. You know, I was writing my material, and then I started writing other kinds of material. And then I started thinking, God, it would be really great if I could direct this material. And so it was like this kind of asymmetric growth of skills and experiences that, you know, morphed into what I do now. But that also came from having a comprehensive education and an understanding that like skills aren't discrete and experiences aren't discrete. And so the better and more well-rounded of a person I am, the more effective I'm going to be at any of my jobs. And also that I'm not as afraid to try something new because I don't worry that much about failing. And that doesn't mean I don't fail. I fail all the time, but I don't fear failure I don't see failure as an obstacle to growth. Like to me, I'll try something, it doesn't work, I pivot, it doesn't work, I pivot again, and I get to the other side because I keep going. And I have said this thousands of times, and I wrote a whole book about it, but success is not the absence of failure, it's persistence through failure. And I got a lot of that as an undergraduate, just being self-driven, trying something, realizing it wasn't for me, trying something else, discovering that like my own ideas had validity. I remember like, you know, high school is very much like you regurgitating what other people have given you. College is where you realize that you can form like original ideas and then use data to support them. And that's not specific to any one field, right? That's just life. So I loved college, and it made me like understand that I could go into an unfamiliar environment and excel. And I really liked that. I mean, you know, it was not super diverse when I was there. I mean, it was better than it had been, and I'm sure not as good as it is now. But what I liked was that I could put myself in an unfamiliar environment with lots of different kinds of people who had never interacted with someone exactly like me. And I could be who I was, and I could advance that without apology. And I think that's been really helpful throughout my life as well.
And that's what, sorry.
I was just going to say that's really incredible. I feel like I also was going to be an environmental engineer and realized very quickly into freshman year that STEM was not.
It's so disappointing because I want to be an astronaut, but I just.
A space person. You want
I
to be
really want to be an astronaut, but just so much math. And I was so good at it. I mean, I was good at it. I was good at it in high school, but it's just like a whole other level.
Yeah, I really truthfully relate to that, like on a spiritual level. Like I really truthfully do. And so I just I really appreciate your words, truthfully.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's my pleasure. Just, be brave. You know what I mean? Like I think there's no other secret. It's just constant ongoing bravery in whatever you're doing. It's going to be satisfying, even if it doesn't go perfectly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to chime in just because one of our questions for you was like, so many people do 10,000 things in college and then get out and like take this one career path. And they're like, they slave away at all these different professions. And you are doing kind of a completely unconventional plan. Like you're like living college life, like trying on different things. I mean, look at this. There's hundreds of these slides that we could have done today. I can't even list all the things that you do and that you do well. And one of Cecilia Lopez wrote into the chat about your experience in Rockapellas, but you sang with them, you did comedy. I think Joshua said you were in a band, you taught.
I was in a band. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I know you studied, but it's interesting because like I said, you feel like college, everyone tries 10,000 things and then they get into adulthood and they're like an iBanker or they're going in grad school. And I just think that your path is so admirable because you're like, I'm going to be a podcaster now. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to host a talk show. And Christ, it's really impressive. And is it courage? Is it stubbornness? Is it like curiosity? I mean, it's just like you alluded to a little bit with the failure or success thing, but it's really remarkable.
I mean, a couple of things. Like one thing is that like I think like the worst thing to do would be to wake up one morning and like feel like I didn't have anything else that I wanted to do. Like I'm really afraid of like being bored. Right. And everybody has their stuff, right? Right. Uh-oh. Did I just time out? I can't see myself. Okay.
No.
So okay, good. So that's my fear. Like is like the version of like dying is like waking up and being like, oh, I don't have anything else I want to do.
Right.
And that may translate into me always looking for something new to do. Right. Like always trying to do something new. But the clinical word for what you're describing is crippling workaholism. Right.
So I was calling you a multi-hyphen. Because unfortunately, James Franco is the only other example I could come up with, and I unapologize right off the top of my head on that one. But people use that term, especially in our business, and I think, yeah, but no one really is that, and you really are that, and it's just
I'm really that. I just want to be challenged, and I want to make a space for other people that come behind me, to be able to say like, when I was doing stand up, right. I couldn't. There were women, but there was no one who was doing exactly what I was doing. And I want to make a space for other women and other people of color to like, look, she did that. Right. And it's not all motivated by altruism. I mean, I want to work and I want to have fun and I want to be engaged, but sure. I do feel like there's a part of all of this that is about making space for other people.
Right.
And I also have like some luxuries. The luxury one is I don't have any children. And if I did have children, I probably would be just like an iBanker. And so my advice to everybody is to never have kids. They ruin everything. They are no fun. So I have the luxury of, I'm able to do a lot of stuff because I'm only responsible for myself. And that was by design. Right. But I guess the underlying thing is not stubbornness. I want to know that when I eventually leave this realm that I did everything that I set out to do. I don't mean I don't mean succeeded at it. I just want to know that I don't want to lie down and be like, if only I had done this thing. Right. I want to do it all.
I learned acupuncture. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
I know. Well, it's a needle thing for me. All right, we're going to bring in everybody else. We're going to bring in our girls, Zia and Jordan, and put the band back together.
Hi, guys.
There we go. All right. And Jordan, you want to head out and start with the next question?
Sure, yeah. So from the YouTube comments, Spaminator 3000, and I actually had the same question. They said that you've acted in both live action and like animated TV shows. I'd like to know like which one did you like one better than other, like one better than the other? What were like the pros and cons of each? Like,
sure. So, excuse me, it's hard to say because I kind of like them all. I mean, like, you know, in the theme of I like to do everything, I like them all equally. But obviously, animation's much easier, right? Because you just don't have to go through the hair and the makeup and the waiting and the angles and relights and all this. If you just come in, you do the role, you try to make everybody laugh, and then, you know, you leave. So it's kind of the easiest, and in some ways the most radical, because like for Archer, the only goal is just to get in there and like be as funny as you can possibly be. And there's no like, I mean, it's a very smart show, but there's no subtlety in it. I mean, I'm jumping around in there like a maniac, you know what I mean? And I'm just trying to like crack people up. And I do it, the producers are in Atlanta, so I do it over this, you know, like digital line, and I just do it and do it and do it until they laugh, and then I move on to the next line. So it's very kind of like, it's a pure expression. Whereas acting is much more like, here are our marks, let's walk rehearsal, and we're gonna block it, you know, and I like that too, but you know, that takes like 14 hours and the other thing takes 45 minutes. So, you know, I'm just lucky I've been able to do all of these things. And sometimes when I find myself on a traditional set, I'm really thrilled to be there. It's really exciting to build a world and tell a story in that way. You know, and when I started Criminal Minds, I was only supposed to do 6 episodes of that show. I was just filling in for AJ Cook while she was having a baby. And then it was such a good fit that they ended up asking me to stay, and I was there for 5 years. But, you know, I remember thinking, oh God, these hours, but just, I loved being on that show. So it never felt like a lot of work. So in some ways acting is just acting, honestly. And you're just like happy to be doing any of it at all, you know, whenever you can.
Being employed.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Having a job, guys, is awesome.
You know,
and for actors, you know, not always the case. So when you have one, you're pretty stoked to have it.
I want to know what that feels like.
You got plenty of time, my friend. Plenty of time. You're young, you baby faces. You got all the time in the world. That's me.
Zia, what do you think?
Yeah, so we got a question from the chat from Eric C. about whether during this pandemic you've been doing any gaming. If so, what you've been playing, and how open world role playing compares to the kind of role playing that you do in film and TV.
Ooh. So I'm really gonna disappoint you, because I had big ambitions to play during this time, and I haven't been able to play in a long time, and I really missed it because you know, when I only had one TV show, I could, you know, I mean, I played like 220 hours of Fallout 3. Like I used to really game pretty hard, and I just can't do it anymore. Or I haven't been able to do it for a long time, but I thought this is great. And so I went out and got Red Dead Redemption 3, and I was like, or 2, I guess I got the upgrade, the ultimate edition of it. And what else? And I was going to go back and play The Last of Us again, because I stopped in the middle because I got so sad. But I just haven't had a chance to do it yet, because there's this other weird thing that's going on. There's this kind of weird, I don't know, ennui, that's not the right word. I'm sure everybody's feeling it. Like sometimes it's hard to get motivated. And so, yeah, I'm sorry, what else? And so, breakfast at 2:00 in the afternoon. Anybody with me? So when I am motivated, I really want to be working on my creative life. So, you know, I'm working very hard with a lot of other people to kind of set projects up so that they're ready to go whenever we can go back to work, even though we don't know when that is. And I remember thinking it would be so great to get like an unlimited or like an extended period of time where I could really I could write and I could develop and I could be reading stuff, and I have it, and I'm not as effective as I would like to be. So the fact of the matter is I haven't started any games, and I need to. I'm going to play Red Dead Redemption. We started we just got through the opening cutscene, and then I wandered off to talk on the phone. But yeah, I definitely need to play some. I mean, I love video games so much, and I miss them, and I think they have a lot to teach traditional narrative artists about storytelling. Mm-hmm. I was just talking about it with someone on the phone, and about making a really popular property into a movie. And I was like, it might have been Assassin's Creed, and why it didn't work. And I haven't even seen it, but I know I have not heard good things about it. But the point is, if I'm an Assassin's Creed lover, I would like to just go play Assassin's Creed. I would like to spend like 20 hours with these characters.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't care about your 2-hour movie with a finite outcome. I'm going to go play this like rad sprawling game with like lots of side, like jams and things I can do, and, weird missions and stuff, like off campaign stuff that like I'm feeling like I'm discovering things. Why am I going to go spend like $20 to sit and watch like 90 minutes of something that like, you guys have already figured out? So, they were like, well, we figured like at least all the Assassin's Creed people will go watch it. Well, Assassin's Creed people don't need to go watch it. They have experienced this already many, many times. And then people who don't really know Assassin's Creed probably don't care. So I don't know that there's ever been I think the only successful translation from a video game to a movie is Resident Evil. What's that?
Laura Croft?
What?
Tomb Raider?
Yeah, I mean, successful.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it made money, but I don't know that it was successful.
Yeah. I don't know. It might have set women's rights back about 10 years, but,
yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, I think. I mean, Assassin's Creed. Yes. What did I just say? Resident Evil, the one with Mila Jovovich. That one has worked. And those movies aren't like super elevated, but like they have enough of kind of like traditional, satisfying storytelling elements to get people excited. But what was the point of all that? Video games are bad.
Oh no!
Time to play. Time to play.
Aisha, come back.
No, we might have lost her.
Aisha, no.
That's all right. Here, he might.
All right.
Let me close. Jordan. Closer to
Uh-oh.
And it's a difference.
Okay, wait a minute. Have we got you?
We're getting
I'm back.
I hear something.
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Ah.
Yeah, you're blowing up. You blew up YouTube.
You know what's so weird is like I didn't move the whole time, and then it just went away. So who knows? I'm just. Is
there someone gaming in your house? Because
I'm just going to stand here in this corner. And
when we've been doing live streams, we've told everyone in our houses don't game.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I mean, there are other people here, and I'm sure they're doing this to sabotage me.
All right, Naomi, do you have a question for us?
I do. Yeah, I've been loving hearing you talk about all these different sort of like hats you wear in the industry, and specifically how when you're, I guess, going towards like a new job, you are keeping in mind that you are like a trendsetter. What's the word? Like, you know,
I don't. You mean like a groundbreaker or something like that? I
mean,
I'm not calling
but nevertheless, like we don't see Black women in wearing a lot of these hats that you wear, which I think is really awesome. And staying cognizant of that, I and also a couple of other people in the chat, Penguino and Chase Migas, all three of us, I guess, had a question about how you sort of maintain positivity when going into an industry like this that is traditionally white male and facing a lot of like negativity and just sort of like
what are you doing in here?
Exactly. What are you doing here?
What are you doing starting a pre-made liquor business?
Exactly. Especially as a Black woman director, we do not at all see a lot of those. So I think it's incredible that you are wearing that hat now and pursuing that more, but I'm sure you've experienced challenges. So I'm just curious about how you've overcome those and if you have any advice for anybody out there.
Sure. So I guess the first thing I'll say is that probably starting in probably having like a single father helped too, because he was very I want to describe this in a way that makes sense and loving, because he was very loving, but he just was kind of it's going to be terrible, and like that's not an excuse. Do you know what I mean? It was never like I'm not feeling for you. It just was like if you let other people control your behavior, then you've lost. So there's going to be people going to be mean. The world isn't going to accept you. Like that's not an excuse for you to stop. And I think that really helped me a lot. Kind of not go in and not that I'm not disappointed. but I'm also not surprised when people disappoint me. Do you know what I mean? I think you have to kind of stipulate to the fact that there are people out there who are going to want to get in your way, and you just have to figure out a way to get over them or around them or through them, and not give them and assign them any more value than they deserve. And then I think being a stand-up also helped, because I was like the only, often the only woman and often the only person of color on lineups. And I had many people tell me I was never going to make it. I mean, just like not subtly, just point blank to my face, it's never going to work for you. And I got it also because I was a non-traditional Black comic. Like I didn't sound like what was popular in terms of Black comedy at the time. Right. So I got it from all sides, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't Black enough, I wasn't white enough, whatever it was. I wasn't male enough, I wasn't female enough. And I just had to like stick to my guns. And that's not like I made a decision. I mean, it was like, months and years of kind of like picking myself back up. And, until I knew that like finally the people that my tribe would find me. I always say that with comedy, like I kept doing it until the people that thought the way that I did or liked the way that I thought finally connected with me. But that took a long time. Yeah. So my passion drove me, like my love for what I did drove me, right? And that was what kept me going, was that who knows if I was meant to do it, but I knew I loved to do it and I wasn't going to stop. And so I really think you have to key into your passion and not really be worrying about how you're received. And I think that's really important for anyone, and especially important for artists, because if you start trying to figure out what people want, then you've already lost. Right. And everybody that we love and we think are so iconoclastic and special and cool and different, the reason they're that way is that they like just did what was interesting to them. And by doing that, it was compelling to other people. But again, it's not like it's easy, it took a very long time. Yeah. And then I think finally, it's just, I'm going to say a bad word. The world is just populated, it's lousy with assholes. They're everywhere. There's we're never going to run out of them. Do you know what I mean? And they keep breeding. They're like bunny rabbits. So many of them. And so you just cannot let those people dictate your path. You just can't. And you can't let the voice inside that's saying, no one's ever done this, so I can't do it, or no one's ever done this so I won't be accepted. Or someone told me that I shouldn't do this and they may be right. Who gives a crap about that person's opinion? Who gives a crap about 1,000 of those people's opinions? I mean, you have one life, right? You've got to live it as freely and aggressively as you can. And yes, you will get down, and yes, you will be disappointed. But there's nothing great was ever done without some personal sacrifice and some anguish. And so you just have to not stop. The people that you see that are successful are just way over there because they just didn't stop. There's no other secret. Right. Sure, they're talented, sure they worked hard, but like they didn't quit. And that is the one secret. And when I was a baby comic, I remember I went to Mark Maron and I was like, what's this? I was just an open micer. And I was like, I really want to be doing what you're doing. So what's the secret? Who do I call? What do I do? And he's like, you just have to keep getting up on stage. And I was like, see, you just don't want to tell me, right? You just you don't want me to be happy. You don't want me to be successful. You're trying to keep me out. And he was like, you just have to keep getting up on stage. I was like, we're not even friends no more, Mark. Goodbye. and he was right. He was right. There was no other way to become better at what I did than just doing it over and over and over again and being relentless in my pursuit of my own excellence and not letting anybody, get in my way. And that doesn't mean I'm mercenary. I'm nice to everybody. But I'm just saying, if that guy says no, go find that guy. If that guy says no, get your friends together, do it on your own. I mean, I funded Access. I crowdfunded it because I knew I was never going to be able to get it funded traditionally. And I wasn't like, who me? I was like, all right, we're just going to get this movie made and we're going to do it whatever way we can do it. And now I have a movie that I can show people that I've been able to use as a calling card to persuade people to give me other opportunities. So you've also got to stipulate to the fact that maybe that guy got it handed to them and that may never happen to you. And that stinks and it's unfair and it's wrong. So you're just going to go do something else and then come back and smush everybody's face in it. Like doggies.
But Access has led you to Vigilante, right? You're attached to direct that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm attached to direct several movies now, which is great. Getting a movie put together is very difficult, and everything's quite stalled because of what's going on with the COVID crisis. But I've directed, I directed a couple episodes of Criminal Minds. I just directed an episode of Roswell. I'm going back next season to that show. And I've got 2 television projects in development and 4 films in development. So, and hopefully one of them will go right after. But there's still, it's still, thank you. It's still under my own steam. Like it's not, I haven't been anointed. You know what I mean? There have been some opportunities that have come to me where people were interested, but most of it, I found that the TV shows that I'm developing, like, I'm doing all the work, so like, you have to just also realize that the buck is going to stop, unlike some of the people in this country, if you're going to be successful, the buck has to stop with you, and it always will. And that sooner that you realize that, like, really great things are gonna come to you when you work hard, and all the work will be yours, but all the reward will be yours as well. Then it feels less burdensome, and you just kind of take joy in the work and what you're doing. And it's been really fun to be working on this stuff. Yeah.
Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I actually think this is the perfect place to end it. I mean, for everyone out there working and everybody out there in school, this is all we need. So I just want to, Naomi,
don't give up, everybody.
and Jordan, thank you for coming into our virtual studio. And Aisha, I can't even. I'm already like pulling out my manuscripts to write you a big fat letter and tell you it's been fantastic. And
it's such a pleasure.
I am so grateful. Thank you for showing up and coming to the campus and talking about Dartmouth and inspiring this generation and also us, and reminding us that courage and curiosity and passion will carry the day. And it's really helpful to hear it again, especially now when it feels really hard to remember any of that in this time.
This will pass. So we all just don't, and it's normal to feel a little bit of despair, but we're going to get through this, and we're going to come out of it stronger and better and smarter. So everybody be brave. Don't give up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone. Thank you tonight. And I guess I'm going to just fill you in on what's happening next week. We've got Lana Wilson, who is a documentary filmmaker who has made the new Taylor Swift biopic that premiered at Sundance last January. And if you are not bored with the hop and don't feel like leaving your computers or your televisions, you can go right over to our other channel, because we have a jam session starting with fiddler Patrick Ross. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for giving Aisha a warm, big green welcome. And until we see you again, keep calm and carry on.
Oh. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Thank you.